welcome to this episode of Conversations with BIOPS. The aim of this conversation, obviously, is to promote engagement, learning, and to give growth to the profession of industrial psychology in South Africa. Today, I am joined by Mr. Matita Tshabalala, who is a registered industrial psychologist with the Health Professional Council of South Africa. He's also a lecturer and academic coordinator at the Nelson Mandela University. Matita is one of the few aviation psychologists in Africa who is registered with the European Association of Aviation Psychology. He has 20 years of experience in human resources, organizational development, safety, and air traffic management. He has vast publications in academic journals and international journals as well. Please welcome Matita Tshabalala. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you, Karuna, and I'm really honored to be invited here. Thank you very much.
Thank you for your presence. So Matita, I have a few questions for you and be very curious about your journey as an industrial psychologist in South Africa. Would you like to tell us about that?
Well, my journey has been an interesting one. So I was registered with HPCSA in 2013. So I completed my internship around 2012. That's when I did my internship. The interesting thing is that I had to design my own internship and got it approved by the HPCSA. As you know, there's a lot of challenges in terms of getting internship, especially in the South African context. But now with SIOPSA, with the work that SIOPSA is doing to ensure that a lot of IOPs are getting internship, at least it becomes easier. But during that time, for us, we had to make it work. So my journey has been an interesting one. And yeah.
It's really interesting. You designed your own internship.
Yes. But of course, obviously, you then have to get HPCSA to approve it. And it doesn't even end there as well. So I had to find a supervisor as well. Then my supervisor was working for another organization. So I was working in an organization doing my internship and had to find a supervisor that was working for another organization. So during our meetings, I had to drive. I was working in Bruma, so I had to drive to Midrand to have those meetings. So it was interesting at the time. So it was a lot of hard work and making sure that it happens. But it was good for me because I had to learn a whole lot of things. One of those was to be resilient as well, because things did not come as easy as they should. So there's a lot of things that I had to learn there. Yeah.
That's really, really interesting. Matita, you were always interested in psychology, industrial more specifically. How did that happen?
Okay, so this started a long time ago, basically, and you won't believe it when I tell you that this started when I was 13 years old. When I was 13 years old, we started a gospel choir, of which is still running even today. From where I come from, I'm originally from the Free State. I still have that choir even today. So when I go home, I make sure that it is still functioning. And obviously, there are people who are running it, but I still do that. In fact, for your interest as well, last year we released the 4th album, a gospel album, quite interesting one. So this is how it started. So at that very young age, obviously we started this choir, and I'm the leader of it, and I had to make things happen. So I got curious to say, but I'm thinking of doing things in this manner, and other people are not seeing it in that way. What could be the cause? So I was 13 years old. It only dawned on me 4 years later, when I was 17 years, I was doing matric at the time, when I went to the library. So that is the first part of the year.
Yeah.
And I just went to the library, and when I was there, I was reading about careers. So I stumbled across a book that was talking about careers.
Yeah.
Then there was this thing written psychology, and I read. It was like, oh, this is where you learn about how people think, why people do things, and I was like, this is it. This is what I want to do.
Yeah.
And fortunately, then one of my friends that we grew up together was doing first year at University of Cape Town. So, and then in June or July, then he sent the forms back for me to complete so that I can apply,
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, I did that, but the good thing was now I had figured out what I wanted to do. This was psychology. And the only thing I wanted to do was just psychology. So fortunately at that time, UCT had you could apply for two streams at the same time. So my qualification was psychology and industrial psychology. So that's all I wanted to do. So my
Yes.
undergrad at UCT was it's psychology and industrial psychology. So that helped me a lot. And then later on, when I finished studying and all of those, and then I got work later on. When I was working, then I needed to continue with my studies. Then it was easier to choose industrial psychology because in the workplace, the only thing you can do is industrial psychology so that you can do internship and all of those kind of stuff. But internally with me, I'm more clinical than than industrial. So, but I did industrial because I could do the internship and all of those things. So that's where all of this started.
Wonderful.
Actually.
That's so interesting. That's so
Yeah,
interesting. So
yeah,
you're saying that had it not been for your engagement with work, it might have been clinical.
absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely. I would be, but in any case, I love the industrial part as well. But one does not know what the future holds. Maybe later on I may branch over into clinical, but I'm happy where I am currently as well. Yeah.
Wonderful. Wonderful. Matita, the aviation psychology, now that's something quite rare.
Yeah.
Perhaps as an industrial psychologist, it might be a rare add-on to match your master's degree. How does it serve you right now in what you do?
Yeah. So how it came about? In fact, even aviation itself, I didn't even know about it. When I finished my degree at UCT,
Yeah.
I think I stayed something like a year and 9 months before I could even get work.
Yeah.
It's an interesting journey. So in July of 2003,
Mm.
I just got a job at FNB. So
Yeah.
I went to sign a contract. It was on a Friday.
Mm.
And just after I've signed the contract, I was walking out and going to get a taxi to go home and all of that. Then I
Yes.
got a call from ATNS at the time because I had gone through the selection process. They were like, okay, you've been selected. You can come and be trained as an air traffic controller. I
Oh,
was like, Jesus, what do I do now? I've just signed a contract with FNB. I needed to make a decision. That was the
yeah.
most difficult time period of my life.
Yeah.
That weekend was very hectic because the Monday I had to start the actual work. and I
Yeah.
had to bring my stuff because it was away from home and all of those kind of stuff. And so I made a decision. I said, well, I'm going to take a chance with this ATNS thing. And it was not a guarantee because I still had to go to the academy, and the pass mark is 70%. And if you
Yes.
don't get 70%, then you are out of the program and onto the streets again. I said, no, 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 no. I'm gonna give this a chance. And I gave it a chance, worked very hard, and I got into the system and I was absorbed into the organization. So that's where my career started to become an air traffic controller. But obviously, I did not progress up to the air traffic control part of it because I was at heart, I'm a psychologist at heart. So,
Yeah.
so when the opportunity for HR positions came, then I
Yes.
applied for HR and then started continue with my studies. Then I did my honors at UJ.
Yeah.
That was in 2018 and 2019 at UJ. That's where I did my honors. That's where it all started, and then did my masters when I finished my honors as well. So for one to register as an aviation psychologist, as you guys are, everybody's aware,
Yeah.
there isn't a domain of aviation psychology in the South African context, of which this is something that one is working around the clock to make sure that at least it gets recognized. But it's gonna take a long time, as you know how difficult it is to get these things going. So I had to register with the European Association of Aviation Psychology because there's a lot of courses that I had to attend, and mostly it's in Europe. Most of that training is in Europe, so I did a whole lot of those in Europe. But obviously, for them to register you as an aviation psychologist, you must be a psychologist where in the country of your origin. But obviously, do some courses with them. So there's a whole lot of things that must happen with that. So I had to do that and also send them the proof of the work that I do. So the kind of work that I do is it's human factors, and mostly it's in the safety space
Yeah.
as well. There's a lot of work that one does in that regard. So that's how I'm registered as an aviation psychologist. Um, yeah, very interesting journey, to say the least.
Very,
Yeah,
very, very. It's for me, it's a first and an
yeah.
exciting bit of information. So you've completed your master's and you had to then embark on another learning journey, which was aviation psychology. So
Yes, correct.
congratulations on achieving that.
Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Yes, what an
It's
accolade.
No, no, it is, and the journey doesn't end here.
Yeah.
We have to plow back, and I'm looking at not only making this a South African thing, it has to be an African thing because in Africa as well, there's a need. I mean, the past 2 weeks I was in Tanzania as well, doing some work there, training in their civil aviation authority, training the air traffic controllers on human factors and fatigue and all those kind of things. So there's quite a need across the African continent. So the journey really it's a long one, and hopefully we will pull this through. But we have to
Fantastic.
enjoy and make sure that it happens. Yeah.
Incredible. And while we're on that note, sir, what has been the hardest or the most testing part of your work or your journey?
It's to be accepted in the bigger scheme of the aviation and also psychology communities. As you know, there's also a stigma around psychology itself. People don't want to use psychology services because they think that we're only looking at their mental. Well, when they think of psychology, they think, well, I'm crazy and all of that. more especially in the aviation sector. We are working with controllers and pilots who have licenses. Okay. And for them to keep their licenses, they have to be physically and mentally healthy. So if they believe that if they use psychologists, they may lose their licenses and all those kind of things. So they are afraid of using our services in that regard. So that has been a very difficult part of it, because we have to convince them and said, look, we're not looking at you as a crazy person, but it's about giving you the tools for you to be able to endure the difficulties as you're encountering them in your work or in your jobs. So that has been the very difficult for me, to get the message across, to say, well, in psychology, we are here to support you guys. Yeah.
Amazing. Amazing. It's and thank you for addressing the stigma, the stigma
Yeah.
factor, with psychology. And I think as South Africa, we've come a long way in addressing the stigma, and it's
Yes.
by contributions like yours that takes the stigma out of
Absolutely.
therapy and sessions.
Mhm.
So, what advice would you give prospective BIOPS or people who are at various stages in their profession right now, different levels? What advice would you give them?
Yeah. It's this challenge. So I'm gonna answer it in this manner. To say the BIOPS community, as you know, we are socialized differently. We are socialized to be humble and understand other people's challenges, accept them who they are, and to an extent that in some instances it is to our detriment.
Yes.
Because if you look at other people, what they do is that they appear to be confident and they can sell themselves, while ourselves, when we sell ourselves, we tend to believe that no, we are being arrogant and all of that. That is not the case. We are not being arrogant. It's the fact that we must be able to sell ourselves, but that is what we have been socialized to be, but it is to our detriment. So my advice will be, and that is the advice that I must also take, because I'm also struggling with the very same thing. Um, I'm not able to stand in front of people and say, "Hey, I'm Matita. This is what I can do. I'm so and so." So it doesn't come easy for us, to the extent that we tend to stay behind and not be well known and not be out there, while others who are not as qualified as us are able to put themselves out there and be known and do things that we can do even better than them. So we need to start selling ourselves. We need to start believing in what we can do. We need that self-awareness, that socialization that we grew up with. We need to put it in the back burner a little bit, just a little bit, and start to be, in inverted commas, be arrogant, if you like. Not that arrogance of being arrogant, but the arrogance of saying, I'm able to do this kind of work. This is who I
Absolutely.
am. Yeah.
I hear you. I hear what message you're sending out, and I thank you for your honesty, because
Yeah.
the whole point of psychology is self-awareness, and we
Yes.
we facilitate it in others, so why not in self as well? That's
Absolutely.
incredible. Thank you for sharing that, Matita.
Absolutely.
What is your hope for the future of industrial psychology as a profession in South Africa?
My hope is it's for us to also adjust with the changes. There's lots and lots of changes that are happening around us. There's AI that is coming in the space, so we have to adjust as well. But I need to link that with what I've just spoken about, to the fact that we as BIOP people, we need to come on board, and we cannot come on board if we do not address that historic I'm looking for the word, historic humbleness, and think of others, not about yourself. And I want to add something here. As part of that awareness that I was talking about. In Sesotho, there's a saying that says, "Ngaka ha ikalafe," meaning that a doctor does not treat itself. So as bio people, we need to avail ourselves to ourselves and others, because we are aware that we've been socialized to do things in a certain manner. Let's avail ourselves to assist ourselves. We need to start holding each other's hands. We need to, when the opportunities are there, we must not hold it to ourselves. We need to open the up to others as well. We need to drag each other to our spaces, of which that's what I've been doing. If there's anybody who's interested to be involved in aviation in whatever manner, I'm available. I can do that. So that is the future. We can no longer be saying that no, it's only Matita who can do this kind of work. No. That is not the future. The future is we all have to hold each other's hands and do this work together. As the saying said, alone you can go this far, but as a group, we can actually go very far. So I take that very literally. So that is the future. To answer your question, we have to hold each other's hands into the future.
And so that's so generous and beautifully said, Matita. I appreciate that you said that, and thank you for your generosity in extending that as well.
Absolutely.
So to the thank you. The listeners, when they listening in, would probably want to reach out to you at some point. Would you mind sharing where they could find you?
Yes, I'm in the social media. I've got a TikTok account. It's called On the Couch with Matita, where I'm sharing. That's where I'm sharing a whole lot of. I've got videos there. I have not been paying attention on my YouTube channel. I'm gonna start doing that as well. I've got a YouTube channel as well.
Lovely. Why not?
Yes, absolutely. I'm there on LinkedIn as well. I'm there on X, that is the previously Twitter. I've got a website. It's a human ego coach .co.za. You can find me there as well. And then also, and my numbers as well. I can give it here as well. There's not a problem if that is required. But I'm all over on social media. I'm there on all the platforms, to say the least. Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah, no. I think that you've given us enough. You've covered enough of social media, and it's a lot of leverage. And I think those wanting to reach out would find you on all of that which you've just mentioned. Matita, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.
And more power to you. And we'll be in conversation with you perhaps shortly in the future.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
I must thank you for the opportunity, and I'm really humbled by the invitation, and hopefully others will be given the same opportunity as well to share the experiences and their journey. I'm really humbled. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much for sharing with us, and what an epic journey. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Keep well.
Cheers.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Bye.